What's up, everyone? Welcome to the JQ and Pete Show. My name is Pete.
I'm JQ.
Did you hear me do it like Anchorman? My name is Pete.
Oh yeah, you kind of did do that.
Well, how you doing?
I'm all out of sorts
you
because
do- yeah.
you clapped us in, but you clapped so late.
Did I?
You did like Blink 182, and then I clapped on your 2, and then you like waited like 90 seconds, and then you clapped. Why'd you do that?
You're such a liar. No, I didn't.
I'm not a liar. I exaggerated, but you did do that.
I got you a
Are you-
damn gift. Be grateful.
you-
Get ready.
You got me a gift.
Okay.
I didn't know you got me a gift.
All right.
How am I supposed to know that? Now I take that back. Now I gotta get a gift for you.
No, you don't.
What
No,
the
you don't.
heck?
No. You can get me. Okay, you'll see. Don't get me anything, but I'll give it to you when I come up soon. Welcome to the
All right.
JQ and Pete Show, everyone. This is how we start things off usually.
Welcome, guys.
I'm not going to edit this out. Anyway, here's your gift. Ready? Bam! Oh! Oh! All the profanity. All
Everybody,
the profanity.
explain to people what for our audio listeners, which is all everybody.
Everybody. So, so I got him the Pikachu cover for the special edition Time magazine. I saw it at the grocery store.
Dude, I almost ordered that yesterday.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I'm going over I made a new budget for the year, and I was like, I'm going over if I buy this and I blah blah blah, and then it's crazy because like on my Pokemon stuff, which is like my feed for everything now
Yeah.
on Threads, that showed up. Everyone's buying it, and I was like, oh, maybe this is like an old thing. And Time Magazine makes a lot of stuff, but apparently it's new, and there's
Yeah.
like 4 different covers with all the stars
Yeah.
and Pikachu. And there was a Pikachu one on Amazon, and I was about to buy it. It's like freaking $15. That's like 15 Junior Bacon cheeseburgers 10
No,
years
it wasn't.
ago.
It was like
Oh,
$6.
yeah?
Yeah.
You know what? Did you get it in person somewhere?
Yeah, I got it at it was just at the grocery
Yeah.
store down here.
Yeah, I was just checking online. So
But
they
you know
probably,
what?
like,
It does
allotted-
say sorry to cut you off. It does say $15. But I did not pay $15 at all.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's an awesome gift.
I can of course I
I
looked
literally
through.
was like, it's gonna go on my coffee table. I'm
Yeah, no, hell yeah.
totally like chicks will dig it.
I love that.
Sorry,
Um,
women will dig it. And it's just funny. I talk about my life with people sometimes, and like, yeah, you know, I got this podcast. Oh, do you talk about music and da da da? Oh, all right, whatever. Because everyone has a podcast now, so it's
Do
not
they?
a cool thing. Yeah,
You're the only
oh,
person I
yeah.
know with a podcast.
there you go. I mean, I don't know anybody with a
Right?
podcast, but apparently everyone has a podcast, so it's cool. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. And then, like, what else do you do? I was like, I like music, but you know, I don't release anything. Hopefully soon, but I also have a YouTube thing that's all encompassing. That's gonna be a thing, hopefully. But I open Pokemon cards,
It's the best, dude. Come on. I live a
and
childhood
it's just
dream.
funny. I remember like recently, and it's not her fault, but I remember telling one of my close friends who visited from Miami. Shout out Jessica. She's cool. If I told her like for real, I think I was just like, I'm having a hard time telling people what I do. I'm not used to it yet because I just got used to talking about the podcast and stuff like that. And usually I go with full confidence, but this is a unique thing because I'm trying to be nostalgic.
Right.
So then I told her, we were in the car, I was driving her home. She visited randomly from Miami, came to New York. It was late at night. We were driving home, and I was like, yeah, you know, and in my mind I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I got this podcast thing, and it seems to be growing. It's cool. I'm gonna launch it on YouTube and relaunch it on YouTube, and this is exciting. And I seem to have a lot of followers gain more followers from my other thing. And she's like, what's that? I was like, I'm just really excited because I didn't think I'd have this much fun. I kind of went crazy, but I'm opening Pokemon cards. And it's just funny and then I went on this whole like 10-minute spiel because I'm thinking out loud, but I was nervous to share it. And I was like, yeah, it's made me feel like a kid again. And I start to like connect with people that I didn't usually connect with, like things like going to the store and I buy a pack and the cash register will be like, good luck with your pulls. you know?
Yeah.
things like that, and blah blah blah. And I went off, and I was like, oh wow, okay, that felt good. You know, something off my chest because I value her opinion.
Sure.
And then I look over to my right because I was driving her home, and she's sleeping.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
And it was so
You're
funny.
serious?
Well, it was late at night, so it had nothing to do with the boringness. But I just like, maybe it was boring, but it was just funny because I should have known. I mean, she didn't say anything when usually she'd be like, oh, interesting, da-da-da, very blah, 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 blah. And she has a lot of fun feedback, but she didn't say one word, so I should have known. And I look over, I was like, oh, well, that's it.
There it is.
There it is.
Snoozing
So maybe she
away.
knows, because I might have mentioned it to it, but it's my fault. It was my like lack of confidence and being able to explain it to her. Because in most cases, I don't really care in some ways what most people around me think. Even like my friends and stuff, because I do stuff that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that I can do that. That's how we started this podcast.
Sure.
You know, I remember you being like in awe. It's like, we just did it. I was like, yeah, that's just the story of my life, you know? So it's really cool to share that kind of vibe. But with certain people, I just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I got this thing and I hope blah, blah, blah. So, and it's funny because it's a good reminder that there's still people like that. And I have stuff to work on how I explain it. So here's the way I'm going to explain it.
I love this already.
This is the JQ and P. I'm so hot. I turned up the heat, and I don't want to walk away. It's so far.
You're turning up the heat in this conversation, too.
Oh, your audio just went out for me for a second. You sounded like Godzilla. It came back though.
That's awesome.
You look like Godzilla too.
Thanks.
I haven't seen you through FaceTime in a while. So
With the
what have
beard.
you been doing? Here's the explanation. This is the JQ and Pete Show, the flagship podcast of the Kiza Culture channel. I'm so happy because JQ and Pete Show is everything to me. However, I've learned that I like so many other things, and I want to share that with everybody. So, Kiza Culture channel on YouTube is JQ and Pete Show, where we talk about music, movies, and video games. Simple as that. Every once in a while, we'll share our own stuff. Then I have the Pokemon Show, where I collect and open Pokemon cards. It's called JQ Collects, where I open cards. Right now, I'm opening Pokemon 151 and Paldean Fates. It creates a sense of nostalgia. As an adult, it feels like I'm gambling a little bit, which is insane.
You definitely are in a way.
And I also spent thousands of dollars, and that's why
the
I
best
couldn't
part.
I feel bad. My friend, the same friend from Miami, she's like, when are you going to come visit me? Because I used to travel back and forth like 3 times a year. Because if you plan right, it doesn't cost that much. And I was so embarrassed. Like, I kind of spent my money. Like, on what? It's like, on stupid stuff, Pokemon cards.
Bills. Credit card bills.
Yeah, I got adult things. Every time as you get older, it's just, I don't know, things pop up. And they're like, yeah, I hear you. Pokemon cards. So, lastly, the other thing is tentatively called Kiza, which is like my musical project, which I hope to be coming out soon. I spent a couple days last year filming some videos for some songs, and I'm really excited. So those are the top 3 things right now within the Kiza Culture channel. But the most important thing will always be the JQ and Pete Show, because it's this fun outlet where we get to experiment and chit-chat and do interviews and casually talk about movies and video games and stuff. And we have something special today. So go for it, Pete.
We got a film. I started saying film instead of movie. I feel more like Zack Snyder would say that. There's my.
Oh, here we go.
There's my.
Bling. Put a bling.
I need a bling every
Finally.
time.
Every time you mention Zack Snyder.
Every episode, at least once. Anyway,
I dig it.
we got a
I dig it.
sick film. I almost messed up and said movie. That's why I said sick twice. Anyway, it's called Lilies of the Field, 1963, directed by Ralph Nelson. And it's starring Sidney Poitier. And it's funny.
Yeah.
Because I know how to say his name, and I don't usually know how to say anybody's name.
Yeah, I think we all know, because his name has been repeated to us throughout our lives without us even knowing. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. And it's funny because I went on YouTube to look, and I was like, am I saying it right? Because I always heard Poitier like that. Now, maybe I'm not saying it totally right, but I know it's something close to that. But I went to go check on YouTube, and I stumbled upon some award that he got where it's like 170,000 videos of him getting awards because he's awesome. And like they just say his name, and I'm like, see, I knew it. Nice. So it made me feel good. It's so good too because it's an hour and a half, so it's not a big commitment. And from the minute the movie starts, you get this like cool smile. That's what I'm gonna call it. It's like a cool smile where you just kind of like, oh man, I like this already. The way they come in with the intro music, it's that song that he teaches the nuns, Amen, or I don't know what it's called, but he just repeats Amen and then he starts singing. It's a beautiful moment.
Yeah,
anyway, I'll get
gospel.
into that. Yeah, that's my favorite, dude. I listened to that song. Let me stop and say, if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it first because I'm gonna say I'm gonna talk about a lot of spoilers. Go watch it first. It's so good. It's a quick movie. Go watch it. It's awesome. It's worth. Let's get back into it because I have so many cool things to say about it, and I hope you feel the same way. If not, we could talk about it. I always go in, or I try to go in, and especially a movie like this, I want to pay it respect because it's a little bit more special to me because my late grandfather showed me this film. Like it was one of his favorite films, and like years ago, going in, I was like, this is like one of those like old films. Even though I'm not like that, I don't know what it is. I'm just like immature in that way. It's like, yeah, you're gonna show me a film like it's not BVS, like what's he talking about? It's not gonna be good, like
Number bling.
bing. There
Number
you go,
two.
too.
Zack Snyder reference. I'm the same though. With especially, and I talk about how much I love movies, but I love certain movies, and there's so much more I can watch and I have to learn. And it took me time to get used to the older movies, probably movies made before 1970, and this was way before.
Yeah,
When did this come
63.
out? Yeah, because it's just a different sense. Production's different, and sensibilities are different, and things can get drawn out more. Audio quality is different. Things it could throw you off to the things you're used to. So I got more used to it throughout the years when I started making friends in the city that were like, what do you call it? Self-proclaimed like cinephiles, people really into movies and stuff like that.
Cool.
And luckily, New York City is like the greatest place to watch any kind of movie. Quick side thing. When I lived in Miami, I didn't realize how much I liked movies. I lived in Miami for like 8 months, and I didn't realize how much I liked movies because when I was there, there was only like 2 theaters. One of them was like an AMC, and the other one played like independent films, more Latin stuff. And that was really cool. But what I was used to living in New York City was watching any kind of movie at all times. It's hard to explain, but they have multiple AMCs everywhere. They also play like a wide variety at those AMCs. But then you had like the Film Forum, just all these other places, uptown, midtown, downtown, that played only like specific films, and they had all the classic like directors of the film come in. Spike Lee would show up at the Metrograph and do this thing, and that's where the community is. I'd be watching a movie, and you'll like this reference too. I was at the Metrograph, which is downtown, and I was watching a movie, and I left the theater, and I realized someone was sitting next to me or near me in the same row, and we're leaving. It's a small theater, and you're leaving. I look over, and it's the guy that played Cyclops in our X-Men movies.
I can't remember his
2000s.
name, but yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember that was early in my movie days, and you just kind of realize it's a small world, especially there. I think you could find that in California, LA, and maybe Paris, and things like that. So I started going to places like the Film Forum and other stuff like that only played older movies. And when you have the time, when you're in a theater sitting next to it, not today where you're watching movies like this that maybe has a different pace and things like that, where you have no distractions. I mean, the theater is the best place to practice that. It's the full movie experience. But this is a good, if you're like just getting into these kind of things, on another side, it's a good way to start because it is a shorter movie, like a normal time frame, 1 hour and 30 minutes, as to like today's normal movies, like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that.
Minimum, right?
Yeah. So, and I was surprised that you would recommend this. It's cool that there's a connection between you and your grandfather. I had no clue, but it makes complete sense. And I didn't do too much research on the actor Sidney Poitier. I don't, but I do know he's renowned and he's an amazing actor and things like that. And I remember when he messages this to me, I like, hey, we're gonna watch this movie. I go, okay. I I was like, there's this great documentary. I think it's on Apple TV that I've been wanting to watch. I didn't even watch it, and so usually I like to prepare and do some research on the person before we do a podcast, but I just wanted to watch the movie and feel it, and you're right, I did feel good, and it makes me want to go into discography. When you do read about it a little bit more, it's like he won. It was his first award as a black man. I think it was an Oscar or something like that to win, and that's a big deal, and it was a beautiful thing, and you get it because this kind of fits all audience,
Yeah.
you know. But it's also it makes me intrigued because the way people it's like, yeah, this is an easygoing movie, and it's great work for him because he's so charismatic. But then they always say like, but this other movie, it makes me want to watch all these other movies that he's done that he's so famous for. So I think maybe we're gonna have some more Sidney Poitier movies coming up on the podcast.
For sure. I mean, you can't watch this movie and not immediately be a fan of him, right?
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
funny you mentioned Community about the theaters and stuff because that's such a huge theme in this film that you kind of get it. So it takes place in Arizona. It's this like rural Arizona area. It's just this barren kind of wasteland where you first get introduced to Homer, which is Sidney Poitier's character. His name is Homer Smith. And it's funny, the nuns keep calling him like Smith, because they're from Germany. So they have like these
Yeah.
really thick accents, and you're just like, it's awesome. It's endearing, like it's just fun.
Yeah.
So what happens is he like his car kind of breaks down because it's like old school. I don't know. I'm not like versed in the cars, but like I think the radiator needed water or something like back in the day to like keep the engine cool. So he goes to like a water pump in front of the nuns. And the reason why I'm saying this whole thing is because he stops and he goes, looks over to the nuns and he goes, hey, I'm just passing through. The head nun, Mother Maria. Sidney Poitier is the main character, but I would say that Mother Maria is the other main character, right? And then there's kind of like the other nuns. There's like 3 or 4 other nuns that are kind of have a relationship with everyone else together. So it's like Homer Smith, the Mother Maria are fully fleshed out characters, I feel. And then like the nuns kind of are their own entity in one.
Yeah. I mean, they're equally as important.
Yeah.
For the story to move along, for you to understand. Because when he shows up, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just passing through," and that's something that he continually says throughout. She instantly kind of like just looks up to God as a nun. I guess it seems as her prayers have been answered, kind of
Exactly.
thing. And that's that's the main gist of the story. It's like they hire him to do work.
Well,
for
they
them.
kind of trick
Right.
him at first,
Yeah.
guilt him, but it's important. I thought that she looks up into the sky, like you said, and she goes, "Yet you did not pass." I love that line.
Oh yeah,
with
she did
that.
say that.
Yeah,
And
because
you noticed that.
he noticed
you
it,
noticed
but it's so epic, right? Like like this little movie, and I'm like, wow, that was so epic. What a lot, like what a line.
Oh,
I actually
wow.
rewound it and kept playing it. Like
Is it like Zack Snyder or
is
something?
it like Superman gonna come out of this? Like who's this? Is this Krypton? Like before?
It is epic. Yeah, I'll give that to you.
Let me backtrack to when they first meet. It's still awesome. It's one of my favorite moments about Faith, where she looks up to the sky and she goes, "Yet you did not pass." And throughout the whole movie, she has this like really like unwavering faith. I mean, I guess you would understand, like she's a nun, so like obviously she dedicated her life to that.
Do you think that's like a main theme in the movie?
3 main themes are faith, community, and purpose. Those are kind of like my pillars. So he goes into the house, and I love this scene because they give him food. It's like a piece of bread with milk. And I think
Yeah.
that's it. Like maybe a little piece of chicken or like a little egg or something like that.
Yeah, and they give him like another piece of bread.
Yes, it's very modest, because you come to realize like they're living on the land, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets tricked into helping them with the roof. So that's why they feed him. So he stops, he gets the water, and they're like, "What are you doing?" He gets his own tools, and it kind of just paints the picture like, hey, he's a like a handyman, a jack of all trades kind of thing.
Yeah.
But throughout the whole, I would say maybe like 3/4 of the movie, it's always like they give him a meal, he's expected to do work. Ah, all right, because he's hungry. He's living in his car. He's kind of poor, but it seemed like everybody was poor back then. It's only up until maybe halfway, 3/4, where he's like, no, he's like, I'm not letting you feed me because then I'm obligated to do a day's work, and I don't want to do that. It's funny because you're sitting there, you're like, why does he keep accepting these jobs?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's kind of goofy about it.
Yeah.
In a way, it's because what's your 3 pillars again?
Faith, community, and purpose.
Yeah, there's a sense of community throughout the whole movie that it grew.
It grew, right?
Because it's this man that's just saying, hey, I'm just going to be on my way. Let me get some work done. I'm sleeping in his car. And then he stays an extra day or something. And then they take him to the church where he says he's Baptist and they're different. So he goes into this restaurant and meets this guy.
When you say restaurant, you use that term very loosely. It's literally a shack.
Yeah. And the guy explains, like, you don't take more work. You should leave, And he's like, yeah, I am. And there's all these circumstances that kind of happen where he meets more people and people rely on him in other ways. It's a feel-good movie. That's what it's meant to be. There's a lot of like small themes that it touches upon, right? He's a black man, and there was another like construction work guy that wanted to hire him for something because he started to do a good job or whatever, or built a good reputation, and the guy would talk down on him. It's like, oh, those guys aren't reliable.
Yeah, you catch
like
those little subtle things. Yeah,
those subtle things. But it's a feel good movie, and to where even in the beginning, those nuns, although they had faith, they're watching him eat, and they're just kind of like staring at him because they've probably never seen a black man before come through and stay with them in their house and eat. So it has those natural themes. It feels good because this Mother Maria, what's her name?
Yes.
The main nun?
Yeah.
She did have this faith. And she had like a smirk the entire movie until like the very end where she had moments where she almost lost her faith, right?
Right. It was definitely tested. Mother Maria has prayed for someone to come build them a chapel. Like you mentioned when they go to church. It's not a church. They're going to mass, outside. But they're outside of a car and there's a priest literally standing at the trunk of a car with like something like a tablecloth draped over and like the cross there, and that's their mass, and everyone's just standing there.
Yeah.
Mother Maria presents Homer to everybody saying he's going to build me a chapel. She calls it a chapel because she's German. She can't pronounce it.
Which is funny because she does this before even telling him.
Yeah, he has no idea.
Yeah, and she constantly does that for everything, and that's how she manipulates the situation.
Yes,
and that's what I mean with the smirk. Like she's kind of figuring it out as she goes, but because of her faith, she manipulates the situation and moves things forward. It's like, this guy's building me a church, and there was another scene where he did some work for them, and he's like finally leaving, and they took him out to some place, and he was gonna leave, and she walks into this place. He's like, "Oh, this is my contractor." She never told him that.
Right, and you don't know that as the audience. It's not like there's some sort of like off screen.
Yeah.
It's all off camera where
just kind of happens.
Okay, that's the contractor. Okay.
So the guy that came out that she told is like, "Oh, you're the contractor," and he's just kind of like, yeah." So it kind of manipulated the situation because he's a black man, the guy didn't have faith.
Oh my God,
he was.
I want to use profanity.
Yeah, he wasn't nice.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But he taught. But he was. It was cool because you could tell he that's how he felt. But also Homer was like, "Hey, boy," right? Doesn't he call him boy? Because he calls, "Hey, boy," like, and then he goes, "Hey, boy," as the construction guy's walking away, and he goes, "I could work 2 days a week for you." But it's cool because it's that interaction is awesome because the contractor talking down to Homer, he instantly realizes it. I mean, everybody does, right? But he's like, "Yeah, I heard you're a contractor." Like, "Oh, all right. Like, what are you building these nuns a chapel?" Like, "All right. Like, you're gonna do it?" And he's like, "Yeah. Why? What? Yeah. Like, why?
What's
the big deal?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And he goes, "Hey, I can work these machines," because he's got these big construction machines. I've never seen those machines in my life, so I don't even know what the heck they were, but they were gigantic, right? And there was like this little seat on top of them, and he's like, "Yeah, I know how to do this." And he's like 2 days a week. Why? What about the rest of the week? And he's like, "I got to build me a chapel." Yeah.
Didn't you hear? I'm the contractor. I'm building a chapel,
right,
you know?
right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're
But that's
like,
how
yes,
she
you know,
exactly. And that's how she manipulated the situation. And that moment, and there's many moments, and the whole movie kind of builds for me. It's just reflection of like real life and people trying to prove themselves. Now, there's one aspect he's treating like he knows well that this man doesn't have faith in him because he is a black man. That's a whole another thing, right?
for sure.
But just for everyone to relate, it's also a thing. It's just going through life as a young man and trying to always prove yourself, not just for yourself, but for the people that don't believe in you and things like that, and how things work out. The whole movie is about faith, right? She had faith at how things fall into place, and it just kind of fell. But you gotta, he didn't understand, so he is me, and he is the audience, where sometimes you forget how things work in life. We make these choices and we want to be certain people, but it's about community, the people that you connect with, and that's like that. A lot of times, it's the meaning of life. So when you're doing these things and doing these tasks for people, it's that's the meaning of life. Building that connection, even though things can pass, and you move on, and that's eventually what happens to him. But things like that, it's all connected throughout the entire movie, and it builds on that idea. And I'm skipping around, but it's like he's building this house, and people in the community start to want to watch him, and they ask to help, and he doesn't want help because he wants to prove to himself
Right.
that he can do it,
Right.
And just like as a young man, have you not had those moments where you just want to do things because you're proving to yourself that you're a man and you're an adult and you can handle these things? But these people are offering a hand not just they don't just want to help, but they want to know you and be a part of whatever positive thing is happening. And I've had a lot of experiences in my life, and I always try to point it out because I just try to remind myself that that's what life is about. And some people can have people gravitate towards them, or it's the other way around. You're searching for those kind of people, and we've all been in those moments. So I kind of forget. I forgot I was talking about somebody that during that scene. There was like a funny scene where he's putting brick by brick, and it's a long process.
Yeah, because he's got to
Right.
go up the ladder, and then he's got to walk all the way to the end. Then he's got to go get the cement. Then he's got to go back, and he refuses help. And it's cool because these are the same people that are offering to help are the ones that donated the supplies, because he starts running out of supplies. And the nuns are like, God will give us supplies. And it's like, no, dude. Like, no.
Yeah.
Where are they going to come from?
Did you not think like Field of Dreams at that moment? I was like, oh, you build it, they will come. And, like all these
100%.
people just kind of showed up.
100%.
But that's the whole thing. There's so many themes of faith in life. I'm not talking about like religion, which is a very important thing for many people. But I'm talking about just like having faith that things work out if you have purpose, if you look towards the future and make moves towards that, things will kind of happen. But that's kind of the moment. These people just showed up, and the guy's like, we just want to watch the show. It's as simple as that. Sometimes you don't even know that you're gathering towards something, and it just kind of happened. That's just in our nature, right?
Yeah.
But it was a cool scene because it showed the whole process of him climbing the ladder, and then he's going back down, and the guy leaves the brick there. He already said no. And it was the guy that was in the like hut
Juan.
restaurant, and he puts the brick there, and he's like, take it or don't take it, or climb over me, step over this thing, and go back all the way
Right.
down there and bring it up. So then he takes it, and it started becoming an assembly line of things. And of course I related and made me think of those things in the moment. And I still deal with that
Of course.
in my own life, where
Of course,
these
these are themes that are going to occur all throughout our lives.
where I feel like I don't need help with things. And it's great, right? I built that independence where I can do things on my own. But then every once in a while, people put in their 2 cents, and you just you're trying to sift through it, what is genuine and what's not, or at least me. And what I realize in the long run, that 95% of it is genuine, which is a great thing. So you have to have faith that people will just do the right thing. Because if you're just going to continue to be on that path of doing good things will happen to you. And the whole time is shrugging his head the whole movie. And it happens over and over and over again. There's many other moments, but that was like a big moment, right? Because he goes back to the nun and she laughs. She's like, oh, pity you, And it's like using God as her tool. She's like, you're not building this chapel. God is,
Yeah,
We're
God,
just kinda-
God is out there building the chapel, and you're feeling sorry for yourself because you are not him. She
Yeah,
is.
there you
Every
go.
line she has is like a mic drop, epic moment. Like,
Yeah.
I love
but
it.
that's the one that hit me
Me too.
the hardest, right? And I tend to not talk about like religion and stuff for that reason, but it's the perfect example of that. Like the world is bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, yeah,
And just remember that because you start to have empathy towards every situation when you start thinking about that. Yeah, of course, they care about yourself and take care of yourself. But then also understand that it's, always not just about you, and it's like a ripple effect. We all affect each other, and it's a community kind of thing. And so I'm saying this out loud to myself, trying to remind myself in my personal situations. But that movie was just from that line when she said it. And it's funny because there's moments where she doesn't know how to communicate. The whole time, the whole movie, she didn't know how to say thank you.
she literally doesn't speak the language. Like that's
Yeah.
another dynamic. This movie's so well written, man. There's
Yeah.
so many things. We could talk for 6 hours about it. But
Yeah.
but
And it's you said communities, and one aspect of communities is communication. And that's like a thing that I touched, that I really connected with in the movie. It's like they don't know how to communicate. It's all a part of growing up too. Even if you're a nun, you still probably don't know how to communicate. There's a literal aspect of it where they're German and he's teaching them English throughout their time together. That's a literal aspect. But it's also about like, earlier I used the word empathy. It's also about like understanding things about each other. Like she didn't have the right empathy towards him when he's like, I wanted to build it myself or whatever. It's like, oh, poor you.
Yeah.
But she saw the bigger picture, but she didn't know how to communicate that in the right way. So they butted heads. And she maybe manipulated situations like that to get him to do stuff. That's her way of communicating, but he doesn't understand that, right? And throughout the movie, he kind of knows, and he likes being with them, and he kind of realizes, like the first time he left, it was pure selfishness, right?
Right.
Because he stopped the car and counted his cash, and he realized he only had like $22.
this is
on
right
him
in
or
the
something.
beginning, like right when
Yeah.
after he fills up the water, he loops around, and he goes.
So,
I
of course,
could work
there's
for,
a-
for you.
There's a need. There's it's not even selfish. It's like there's a personal need.
Yeah,
So he turns back and continues with them. But he could have left like many other times. They've had those moments. He had those cups. Oh, I'm just passing by. He just kept singing over and over to the movie. But he chooses to stay. And she wasn't even like, she was paying him or whatever. But it wasn't like he got another job to get money.
no,
right?
she wasn't paying him money, but she was paying him in
Oh
meals.
yeah, in food,
Yeah.
in food, yeah. All the thing I'm leading to is he got another job, got more money,
Yeah.
and he felt compelled to buy better food.
Yes, the groceries.
And it's he went to the grocery store, and I thought it was funny because he bought like 4 ketchups,
yeah, it was the best. You
and I
love
was just
ketchup,
like,
right?
"What?" Yeah, I hate ketchup, so that's why I noticed it first. But then I didn't want to judge because he's an amazing man as an actor,
Even in,
then- so
black
that-
and white, you were right on it like a hawk. What
I
is
was like,
that
ketchup!
garbage?
What is that, dude? For real. But then I saw he's like got 4 of them. I was like, disgusting, But it was just funny because I did notice he got 4 because I was like, what the heck, man? Why is he buying so much ketchup for himself? But then I realized he goes back and it was for all of them. And because instead of the bread or whatever they were gonna make, he had a huge like turkey or something, and the ketchup and gave all these condiments and lollipops. He got them lollipops. They were so excited, And but why did he feel compelled to do that? People start to grow on each other. That's the thing. They had a connection from the start, but he especially didn't know it, and that's what's a beautiful thing with community and connection and growing. What I'm learning for myself is to be more mindful during those moments, to where I'm not like shrugging my shoulders and being like, I wish I did it that way or whatever. Just to know that, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have these people surrounding me.
It's
Or
easy to feel that
realize,
way, right?
Oh, absolutely. We are all on our own path. And in the end, it's ourselves. We're by ourselves in that path. We have partners and things like that. But in the end, it's us, which is a beautiful thing. We also have to understand that when we're surrounded by positivity and people like that, it's important to know that it's there and acknowledge it. And that's what I got from this movie the whole time. the whole
Same, dude.
time.
Yeah, it like something I struggle with is like it's okay to ask for help. You know, like you
Oh
don't
yeah, I
have
still
to do
don't.
everything. We all were. I think a lot of people are like that, right? But
Yeah.
uh, and he has this like the ego has to die in him, right? Because he's like he levels with the nun actually, and it's super genuine. He's like, all my life I I wanted to really build something myself. So that's where that pull was coming from when they all wanted to help him. And it's awesome because when you mention the community is communication also. First of all, I didn't even think of that, but that's awesome. I don't know. I was thinking community, obviously, with everybody being together. But it plays in how he finds purpose through the community because there's that scene when the nuns come down because eventually they kind of push him out of helping build the chapel because everyone's helping and he kind of just sits back and he's like watching. He becomes the observer. So he kind of loses his purpose, right? And
Yeah, I think it was. I related to that. I think it was more than that. I think he was being extremely selfish at that moment, and he not only was
Yes.
phased out, but he chose to be.
absolutely.
And I've done that, and I've even done that recently in my life and stuff like that, where it was like it's like, all right, fine, you do it. I'm gonna let you fail.
Right.
Of course, they're gonna fail. They don't know what they're doing. They just want to help. You know?
Right, right.
And that's a thing. That's when you start to realize your purpose, because he just kind of jumps in later on after through the trouble.
Yeah,
of
because
them.
they're arguing and they're like starting to build it incorrectly. And so
Yeah,
the
the
nuns
nun
are
was like, "It's too
arguing with
high."
the helpers, like the help. I'm saying helpers, but like they're part of the community. They're people that donated and stuff. But they don't speak the same language. So Schmidt comes in. His purpose is to unite everybody. You know, he becomes
Yeah.
the boss, and they
And
go,
he did
"Oh,
it
hey,
instantly,
boss," you know, like
right?
right
And that
away.
was they start calling him boss and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that, and it was such a obvious moment when he jumps in, but the language that was being used when they started calling him boss and stuff was subtle.
Yeah,
You know, it didn't all of a sudden in like have a movie moment where it was just like, oh, I know what's going on in my life.
yes, they fit it in.
He just
so
jumped
well.
in and did it, and then he jumped in, they did it, and then they moved on to the next scene. You know, but it would, and I think that's what the subtleties of older movies can do. You don't need some movie magic to express these things because it's so relatable. We get it, and
Yeah, man.
it
Yeah.
was a big moment.
For sure. They it's cool because it's funny you don't actually know where the materials come from at first. Like you see people bringing materials in, but it goes from like one truck with a bunch of bricks because that's what he needs. He needs bricks, he needs wood, he needs cement, he needs a bunch of things. And then all of a sudden to the scene where before they start helping, there's all these materials everywhere. And it's cool because the construction worker guy comes when everyone's around helping, like after they call him boss and after they resolve like that tension between them for the lack of communication. And he talks to I wrote it down because it was such an awesome scene. He goes, so the guy Juan who owns like the restaurant, the Shack restaurant, talks to the construction worker who belittled Homer at first, and he goes, hey, why is everyone help? And this is the line. He goes, the people, not why did everyone help? Why did they donate the supplies, and why are they here? So he goes. Juan tells him, he goes, the people donated them. He goes, a man gives wood, bricks, his time. What does he get in return? A chapel, a place where his children can receive the sacraments. And these men, for their children to have faith is important. Like, are you kidding? What a line, right? From this guy, this like unassuming guy. He's like out of breath because he's kind of overweight. And he's just like, but it's so, for him, he's like, how do you not see that? Like, and he didn't say it, to be mean. It was just, it's something so clear to someone like that and to everybody helping this community effort to build this chapel. So you could tell it moves the contractor. And he goes, what about you? He goes, you don't partake in all this? And he goes,
Insurance, right?
Insurance. He goes, life is here on this earth. I cannot see further, so I cannot believe further. But if these guys are right about hereafter, I have paid my insurance. So
It's such a funny thing,
Right?
but it's grounded, right?
Oh my goodness.
He just knows that they're doing good. So even if I don't, because he's the one that doesn't participate in the church stuff.
Yeah.
But he understands it doesn't matter. They're doing good, So I'm okay with being a part of that. Yeah, it's selfish because it's insurance, but it's okay. I'm taking care of myself, but I'm also taking care of them too. No matter what,
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing. Yeah, you're right. As you explained that scene to me, I completely felt it within me because he is everyday man. He's also a representation of older times, simpler thinking,
Absolutely.
and
That's all they had, right? They didn't have money.
Yeah.
They didn't have cell phones. They had their faith and their family.
religion
community.
tends to come up during the hardest times in your life, right? As you're growing up and trying to figure out who you are, it comes and goes for me. And some people maybe it's always there, but you start questioning things because you have an ego and you're learning about life. It's I have control of myself, and you do, and it's a great thing. But then it's always nice to feel that there's something bigger than yourself. And even if it's not something like God, it is the world. It is your community and the people around us. We're all so disconnected in some ways because we're sitting in these rooms and we're FaceTiming and we're far away from each other. But a community can mean something different to everybody. I want to talk on two things, community and this other thing. But so us taking the time to connect for this, that's community to me,
Oh,
It's
for sure.
People don't know, but we mentioned it every once in a while, but I chose you as my godfather through confirmation. It was a joke, but it was real.
It was
on
the
one end,
best,
it was-
real joke.
Yeah, because you usually choose someone that's way older, way more responsible. You choose a godfather because they take care of you, but you did, and you did in your own way, and that's how it's always been, which is really cool, right? But community could also be your religion and people you're going with. It's just funny, right? Because although I'm not going to church every day or doing all that kind of stuff, but I do feel it's within me at times, and I need to be better with that. And I'm trying lately, which is pretty cool. But also through that, you learn who you are. It's part of the line that you said they go through the sacraments together or something like that. It's I went to CCD school. It's the Catholic school thing,
Right.
side school that you go once a
Catechism,
week.
right?
Yeah, and I learned a lot. And we always talk about that because we have younglings in our family now, you and me. But it's even if you're not into a religion or something, but it also taught me values and things like that. So when you see these people gather together, build a church, maybe back then it's all they had. It's more important, and they truly believe that. Nowadays, I'm talking for the skeptics. It's not just about that. The community thing builds your foundation of you as a person, right? Building something together, kind of thing, or a place of worship, or just a place where you can just be with yourself is a really cool thing. It can be a church, it can be a room, it can be a meditation center, whatever it is, just building that together is really cool. Where I work for this company and they do this community service, and one of the things that we do is what is it called? Meals on Wheels. And on one end, I feel like I need to do better. I can just go out and find that on my own, but I'm allowing my company to just do it, and then I tag along. But on the other end, I'm also proud that I'm making that choice because I can easily say no one in my company does it. It's only the managers that kind of have to do it or whatever. And I'm not that, and I choose to be there. It is a sense of community and connection because I'm trying to connect with my managers or the people around me, but I'm also connecting to the community. You don't realize certain things, Meals on Wheels are for you deliver food to the older people. So I'm putting myself in these environments that I've never been. So I'm building a foundation for myself by learning, and it's not like I'm in a classroom or anything, but I'm doing this ritual and it's for free. You're not getting paid for it or whatever, and this and that. And you also feel good about yourself. So that it's not a selfishness, but you're doing it for yourself.
Well, you feel
as
good
well.
because you're helping someone else. Like that's
Yeah,
that's the part that feels good. It's not selfish to feel good. You know, like
Yeah.
you're not doing it for the feeling. Like that's just a byproduct of doing good.
So I thought about that when like the guy's talking about insurance. Now, yeah, he sounds like a skeptic or whatever, and it's like, but he also knows that there's no wrong in that, in choosing to be a part of that. You know, yeah, maybe it's insurance because he's not a man of faith, and if things work out to people with faith, he's good. You know, he's helped them out. But it's also like in the end that the construction worker guy delivers high quality bricks, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
And
then
he's
he makes
complaining the
comment,
whole time.
Yeah.
And he asks like, oh, and by the end the nun grabs him. It's like, we need this, we need that. And he's like, you're taking advantage of me. And da-da-da, and he drives away. But it's just like such a funny moment because you do have those moments like, oh my God, you kind of roll your eyes if someone's asking too much of something, but you know you're doing good in the end. So how many times have you been in that moment?
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
like, you're happy to do so, but you're also like, ugh.
What did I get
Whatever.
myself into?
Yeah. So there's so
I
many
wanted to sleep
aspects.
in on this day, right?
Exactly. So how fun is this? This is such a simple movie, right? When you look at the letterbox comments and stuff like that, it's like, oh yeah, it's a feel good movie. It's great. Da-da-da. It's not one of his best movies or best performances, but it's a great movie. But look how deep we're getting into the scenes, these simple scenes. Sometimes the simple movies and the most relatable ones that's why we connect with them.
Yeah.
And that's why he won his first award for that, you know? It's because the whole world connected with that. You kind of live and grow and deal with that, and it's insane that I felt so much during that movie. And I'm glad that it was short because it was funny because older movies tend to move longer, and this movie was no exception. It was like that, but it hit the spot, you know, it hit the sweet spot of time for me.
See, I listen to you. You know, Pete, don't recommend these darn movies anymore. They destroy me emotionally. See,
You waited long enough.
I did, right?
You waited
I
long
let you
enough.
recover
So
from a silent voice.
yeah. People still listen to that episode. I'm watching. I'm like, do you guys not feel my pain in that movie? Yeah. It was so good, but come on. But I still felt pain because it goes to the beginning of this recording when you go, oh man, didn't you feel good? I was like, yeah, I did, but I hated it, you know? And
You said an F-bomb. Yes.
yeah. But I hated the ending because tell us about the ending. What happens in the end?
So I'll say one because it's part of the ending, but they finish the chapel. It's a beautiful place, and the priest walks in. And some real quick backstory with the priest is that he comes in and he had mentioned to Homer they had like a one-on-one when he first showed up. And he goes, when I became a priest, or when I got ordained, I think is the phrase he uses. When I got ordained, I prayed to God that I would worshiping in this, grand chapel or grand church, and like that was his ambition, to be in this grand place. And he walks into the chapel, and his face. I mean, the acting is awesome on the priest. I would go back if you don't remember. Go back and just stare at the priest. Don't even listen to anything. Just stare at his face. He is blown away, speechless, and he walks down the aisle.
I was in awe,
right?
Of his awe,
Right?
Because I was scared. I was like, oh my God, because he has a feeling in his face. I was like, what is he thinking? Now in the end, I'm thinking like, yo, he's so impressed or whatever. But then you just don't know. You don't know really,
Right.
but you just feel it. So it's a little.
Right.
That is dramatic.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're hanging like on the edge of your seat, waiting to see like his reaction. So he goes and he says, I don't have the exact quote, but he says something to the effect of like, I hope I can make everyone proud and worship here to be part of this, because this is better than anything I could have ever expected, and you're like, come on, man, another monster line. Like, who wrote this script? Like, you guys nailed it, man.
Yeah,
So,
even him, the man that, the priest, he wasn't expecting it. It's like he wasn't thinking in the right mindset. Blew him away too. And it's just kind of like, we're not perfect, right? But he realized it, and he's like, I want to make everybody proud. And that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then I'll say one more thing, because I have to mention it, because that was, to me, was like, it wrapped up Homer Smith's story arc very close to the end, but you almost could have had him not be in the ending, right? Because he gets to the top of the chapel and it's finished, but now the cement is drying. And it's where the big cross is. So they put all the cement in this, like, almost looks like a chimney to hold the big cross because it's made out of brick and it's beautiful, but it's kind of separate from the chapel itself. So he's on this big ladder, and he in the wet cement he writes Homer Smith, and he has this subtle gesture of like with his hands at his side, like there it is. That was my, like, he put his mark on it. That's what he wanted to build his whole life. Do you know? Even though he had help, it was like that's his little way of fulfilling a dream. And I love that. That was, to me, was like, yes, dude, that was awesome. Talk about the end. So they sit down at the table and English lesson time, and he starts singing the song, the Amen, you know, like the
which was a whole thing that we didn't acknowledge, that like he was showing his religion, his type of music to them because they were singing their music.
Right.
And it was their way that they connected, you know, so that was a whole cool thing. But yeah, he starts singing the song and they start singing it, and they're because he was a little somber and they made fun of him.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, why you're being like the way when you first got here, you're like really quiet and da-da-da. And then he just kept going and he started the song and they started clapping and joining along, and then he walks out and they're still singing it and he's singing along as he walks out, and then he goes to the car and leaves. Right.
Yeah. And then Mother Maria, you could see like as he leaves,
she knows.
She
realizes.
She stops singing, and her face kind of gets like real stone, and she realizes because she had all these plans, like we're gonna build a school, then we're gonna build a hospital, and it's like you see him packing up, but it doesn't feel sad, but it does. But the song is happy, so you're like, I don't know what to feel, man. And as you know, as the song is coming to an end, he packs up and he drives like down the dirt road, right? Like that.
And that's what I mean, Pete. That's why I don't like you.
You love it. Stop it.
I want him to stay. I want him to stay,
he was
man.
just
Become
going
president.
To get coffee with Juan.
Yeah, I hope, because he didn't finish the coffee when. Oh no, that was another scene.
No,
he was upset.
No, I think
right. Was that?
No. Oh, no. I think that was when they
he
were
was upset.
arguing.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I felt a lot. Right. You want him to stay.
Yeah.
But there's also a reflection of life, of moving on and moving forward, and things like that. I have a hard time. I always tell people in my life I have like I have different lives. You know, I'm talking to people now and I work for like a hotel and stuff like that, but they didn't know that I did music and stuff, or they didn't know that I played sports back in the day or whatever. So like I'll talk about basketball with somebody or something and they'll be like, what do you know? You know, you're this like small dude. It's like, you don't know I'm super fit. I'm not.
I taught him everything he knows.
Yeah. How to shoot.
How
Pete
not
shoot
to
with
do
two hands
everything.
over his head. And we had we didn't
Hey
have
Arnold.
a normal
Oh, no.
backboard and he would just shoot it. Oh yeah. And anyway, but yeah. So then what I'm getting at is like we've had these like different lives and things like that. And sometimes we have a hard time moving on. Now I've been a person that like I try my best to push forward, but he felt content because he put his name on that chapel and he built something and he made friends and he had these things and he moved on. What a beautiful way, you know? But life sometimes isn't like that, right? And I'll like move on or I'll force it or whatever. It's like, well, you know, you outgrew me as a friend or whatever. Someone's moving away. All right, I'm not talking to you anymore, and we moved on. But like, it didn't end the best way. So when I saw that ending, I thought of all the moments in my life during all my 5 lives or whatever, and I'm like, I could have done that better. And because everything ends well, you know, even when it ends bad, it ends fine. Relationships, and you could fight in a relationship and it didn't end well, but you grew from that or whatever it is. Or it could just end perfectly. You know, relationships end and it's fine. You kind of grow apart, or whatever, you move on and do your own thing and it's okay. But like, how do you find that moment to acknowledge it and be grateful and move forward together or separate? You know, I don't know. But when I saw that movie, I was like, wow, this is perfect. Where the heck is he going? You know, she had all these plans. What are they going to do? But it's not about that. It's more about like he was there and he did his part. And now he needs to go do his own thing because he was still learning, right? He was a poor man and he gained all this life experience. So if I have to guess, he's going to build upon that and stuff. And you don't let go of the people that you say goodbye to in those moments. But gosh, I was like, oh, what is he doing? You know, and that's the difference. It is a feel-good movie, But sometimes it doesn't have to be the most perfect ending. It doesn't have to end on him building the school and stuff like that. It's like, what would really happen? Things change and people move on and yada yada. And those are the better kinds of ending. On a side note, I finished this great book called Clara and the Sun. I forgot the name of the writer, but he won a Nobel Prize for his writing, so he's extremely talented, but I've never read this kind of book. And later on in the end, spoiler alert, I might talk about this book in the future on a podcast, so spoiler
cool.
alert. It's just like things happen. There was like these two kids that were in love, and they saw the person they were talking to was like, what happened? You guys aren't together. You move in separate paths. It makes me sad. The boy explains like, I didn't lie to you when I said I love this person with all my heart then. Now things change or whatever, but don't think that I lied to you because that's what I felt at that moment. And it's okay that we went on different paths, but it was a beautiful thing there, and it didn't end in flames or whatever. It's just, you have different paths and you grow and stuff. But that boy at that moment acknowledged like, trust me, like that was all real. So taking it back to this moment, yeah, he could have totally stayed and done these things, but that's just not how life is. But you hold on to that moment and it stays with you forever because he built this church and he made a relationship with these nuns. And with so many of these people that didn't care for him, they didn't really show it, but it was just that one guy or whatever, didn't really have faith in him, do now and understand everyone can do anything. And it's if you just kind of support each other. And that goes back to your community thing. But yeah, I didn't realize I had a lot to say until like, I ended the movie a couple minutes before we started talking, but I was watching it on and off, and I kept restarting it and stuff. As casual as it is, because the way you expressed it, like, dude, it's just a feel-good movie. I was like, yeah, easy going. Yeah, I just watched the movie Anyone But Him, and that's a different kind of feel-good movie. There's nothing to it. It was an awesome movie, but it's not like this,
Right. This is a feel-good movie with purpose.
Yeah, I should have known. I'm gonna call it the Peter effect.
The Pete's,
you tricked me.
Picks.
Yeah. It's cool because I criticized you in a positive way. I was like, Pete, and I think I did it on the podcast.
Yeah, you
like,
did.
See,
last time we did it.
Was it
the
last time?
anime
Okay.
one, I think.
Yeah, I was like, you see, because of our own lack of knowledge of movies, we see it one way or the other, but there's nothing in between. And I don't know if that was intentional, but you totally found something in between. You found something so casual, but it still had that dramatic heart to it.
It's
because
like,
you showed me
have like my fingerprint on it a little bit,
Exactly, because I was explaining in the other episode. I guess it's like you showed me a silent voice, and I was like, it's either that where it's gonna mess you up and make you cry, and it's a great movie
for weeks,
but it's just like it totally messed me up, or it's gonna be this amazing epic thing that Batman versus Superman kind of thing. There's no middle ground. And then you texted me like a couple weeks ago. It's like, hey, I want to watch this movie. And I remember being surprised. I was like, very cool. And I did tell you, it's like, there's this awesome doc about this guy. So I've been wanting to dig in on his stuff. So it kind of works out. And then, you did, lightheartedly go, it's a casual, easygoing thing or whatever. And I should have known. I should have known.
There was going to be a little bit of salt in there. A little bit of salt in the wounds.
I was eating as I finished the last scene. Because it did get emotional to where I did have to keep busy. I wish I could be more mindful and just sit in and watch it, but I kept busy. I was like, ignoring the truth or the good feeling thing. And it was a Cornish hen. And a normal person would only eat like a quarter of it or half of it. But I was like, he's singing the amen part. I'm eating. And then he's walking into the car, and I already know what's happening. I know he's about to leave because I see the nun's face, and I was like, oh, no. And I just like closed my eyes and ate the entire thing. So I'm so full right now.
That's why when you came on, you're like, I ate too much, man.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Now we know the context as to it. I didn't realize it, but as we're talking about it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Why I did that, So I need to be better with that. What an awesome movie.
Hopefully more to come. There's going to be a lot more of these kind of movies because I feel like you said, we both need a break.
It's a good in between,
right?
Yeah. I feel like we're at the tail end of this, so which is cool. It's let's continue to do these kind of episodes where we show older movies or talk about newer movies. But I think the purpose that we should have on these things is to make you feel good, and it could be abstract. But let's try that.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that's what we should do going forward.
Sometimes I challenge myself and I want to be like, oh, I want to show this best movie. And, everyone's known David Fincher's become one of my favorite directors, and like his movies sometimes really don't make you feel good, but it can in a different way. And that's what I mean. It can be abstract or whatever, but just find that thing that makes you feel good. Sometimes I'll watch this movie and I feel inspired to do better.
Absolutely.
But it's also not just about that. It's like be better, like be good. It's simple as that.
Do good, Mr.
You know?
Feeney.
Exactly, Mr. Feeney. That's the #1 podcast I listen to. Pod Meets World. By the way, I'm so far behind, but I've been going on chronological order, and it's my go-to podcast to listen to on the bus. I guess I want to end it on my thing where I always talk about something to recommend.
Hell yeah.
I've been watching a lot of movies and stuff, so I'll consolidate my thoughts. But I'm going to talk about music this time. Do you think you can suggest one? Do you have any off the top of your head? I know I didn't ask you to, but do you have any? Can you come up with one last
Music
second?
or movies?
Either or.
I've been listening to this band, 408. I think they are. And I'm
408.
obsessed. Basically, any of the 3 songs I've been listening to. There's "Break Up with Your Girlfriend." As soon as you play it,
Oh, pop punk.
yeah, there you go. As soon as you play one of them,
Florida is like the place for pop punk, which is pretty cool. But like, yeah, you wouldn't think. What is it, like modern pop punk?
dude, I don't know. If you
Okay.
played this when we were in high school, you'd be like, yeah, this is totally something that would come out.
Oh, I did hear they did a collab with Magnolia Park, which is another pop punk
Yes,
band.
he's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. I've been
Oh
listening
yeah,
to
they
him
did this,
too.
dude. They did the song Mark Hoppus.
There you go.
You ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is funny. Mark Hoppus of Blink-182.
Yeah. Who's that?
So-
Mark. Was that?
Ring.
I've never heard you.
I should have my own
Yeah, we
ring
have-
for Blink. But yeah, oh, that's a good recommendation. So what's one song? Give me one song.
Yeah, let's do "Break Up with Your Girlfriend." That one's
Okay.
great. That one's great. Super catchy. Like you'll be humming it and singing it like when you're in the shower.
I dig it. I wanted to recommend a pop punk thing, but I'm gonna give myself a curveball.
Okay.
Since I did a whole episode kind of on pop punk stuff, check out the
Yeah.
last episode. I talked about the new Green Day album, which is awesome. I've still been bumping that. But then I did Alkaline Trio, and it found its way to connect to Blink-182, and it's just like, it's pretty cool that how things work out with these bands, but also in life, how it's all just connected and stuff like that. But there's this band called The Aces, and I'm recommending an old song, although they did come out with an album last year, but this album is called Under My Influence, and it came out in 2020. But their single at the time was this song called Daydream. And it's
Daydream?
just like, yeah, and it's this pop rock song, and that, but the vocal influences and some guitar licks are like R&B-ified, which is really cool. R&B fans will roll their eyes when they hear that, but you'll know what I mean. It's just certain licks and stuff, but it's so. And their second album, which is cool, is more on the pop rock aspect. It's connected to the punk pop, and you could hear it. Like I guess I'll recommend a second song by them. It's on their new album, which came out in 2023, called "I Loved You for So Long." But they have a song called "Girls Make Me Wanna Die," and it's super The Smiths / The Cure and fast, and it's an upbeat kind of song, happy, sad, which I always mention, which is great.
Cool.
But the song I really want to start off with is called "Daydream." And it's like classic lyrics, daydreaming about you and stuff like that. And you're reminiscing of the sweater that you wore and the smell of the sweater and stuff like that. But it feels so good. And the song is way too short. So it is like a pop rock song. It's like 2 minutes. And it should be like 2.5 minutes, you know? But it's
I get
so
pissed at
cool.
those because then I just want to keep replaying it instead of just doing repeat one. I wind up like going back and just hitting.
Exactly. And I didn't want to recommend this song because I wanted to save it for one of my other music recommendation episodes. But dude, you talk about a repeat. I literally turned on the repeat and I just listened to it over and over. And I did that when I first discovered the song. And it's something weird, right? There's like imperfections in the song. To me, it actually is too short, you know? But then it's also like the perfect length in a pop song. You don't need it too long or whatever. But I want more
Leaves
of
you
it, so I just
wanting
keep,
more, yeah.
you know? And I don't know, they ran into my YouTube feed, which is cool. I feel like YouTube slightly changed the algorithm, so it's recommending more random things, which is pretty cool lately. Which this isn't that random. It's connected, right? It's power pop or pop rock and stuff like that. But it was so cool. It's all these girls. And I think they did like a couple years ago a live stream for Pride. And it was like an hour performance, but they sang that song. When I started, and I thought it was so cool. And to skip a little ahead, I started listening. I looked for more live versions of the song. They sang different styles, like acoustic style, and it's cool because they are using these R&B chords and stuff. So the acoustic version sounds very different than the live version. But this particular version, the Pride stream, and you could find it on YouTube. It's like they just looked so cool. The lead singer was wearing like a black jacket with some patches on it, and she had sunglasses. Eventually, later on in the show, she takes it off and stuff like that.
Cool.
But like, she looked cool. It reminded me of like the Strokes or something. But the difference is the Strokes, like Julian Casablancas, lead singer, is like actually aloof, right? He was probably hammered or something and just like not in the right mindset. And that's the punk rock thing. But these girls are singing the most bright, happy sounding songs, but she just looks punk rock, and they're not faking it. It's a style, and it looks so cool. There's like different parts of me as a musician. I want to be like Bob Dylan wearing the Ray-Bans, but then sometimes I want to be like the in your face looking right into your eyes kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? But when I saw that, I was like, oh, because I'm planning to perform again. But I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to wear shades the whole time. And it's super rock starry.
Cool.
And she looks so cool. And I don't know why I'm mentioning this. I guess they sang that song, and she looks so cool performing it. But I love the way the guitar sounds. It's this shimmering guitar. And I use that word all the time because that's the sound I love, you know? It's like this really shimmering guitar. So listen to that song. We'll put a link.
For sure.
But yeah, it's a feel good song. It's moving and grooving, and I got way more to come. I've been diving deep on their discography, which they're a pretty young band, but there's like a lot of awesome like punk pop or like pop rock, but rock on the rock side of things, female bands. And I'm embarrassed to say, because I remember talking to my stepdad years ago, telling him like I don't really listen to female music besides Taylor Swift. And he's like, why? It's like, well, I tend to see myself in the song first because I daydream that I'm singing it. And I don't see it when it's a female. And something changed within me. Maybe when I pointed that out, unknowingly, I started looking out. And it's just funny because the genre of music that I like, which is like pop rock or with a little punk influence, is all these female-driven singers. So I've discovered like the Aces and this awesome band called The Beaches, which is definitely more in the punk vibe. They have this song called Blame My Ex, or like Blame Brett. And it's like a fun breakup song, you know? But it's weird. Like 85% of what I've been listening to is female singers. It was unintentional, but it was a beautiful thing because like an idiot, I just kind of ignored it. But I started to see the music outside of myself. And all right, that's a perfect connection to like the world. Stop looking in yourself and start seeing outside of yourself, and it will open up, you know? And that was cool for me. So the Aces is kind of one of the bands that kind of opened me up or whatever. So it's really cool.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, good stuff. I like this episode. Lilies of the Field. Awesome movie. Sidney Poitier. I felt good. I also hate you, Pete.
I think that's a perfect spot to wrap up.
All right. You can't hear me? Can you hear me? Well, I can hear myself.
Choppy, like I didn't hear a lot. It was.
Oh, okay. But
anyway,
it's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll edit. I know you're recording. That's why I didn't want to interrupt you. I know you're in a thing, but like,
I probably unplugged or something. But you'll. I just clicked it in. I'm doing it like a rock star. I'm like.
I know you are. I know you are. You're doing it like when you perform. It's awesome. I'm doing it like I've been doing it for 40 years, and like I can't hold my arm up anymore. I don't know what you're doing, but thanks everyone for listening. Lilies of the Field, 1963. Ralph Nelson.
There we go. There we go.
There he
you
goes.
You can hear me now.
There he is.
You can hear me. I hit the switch. There's a switch. I didn't know there was a switch.
This guy.
I hope you edit this.
Ladies and gentlemen, and he hit the switch.
Yeah.
I thought only I did that.
I used to be an audio engineer. That's right, bitch.
You don't lose it. You still have it.
Well, that's not what I learned about sex. If you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah, take that out. Put that in. Dude,
I'm gonna leave that.
I'm trying to put you to work. That's all. All right.
You always do at the beginning.
I did push my button. I pushed the button. That's what it was.
Now I hear you much better.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Peace.
Peace. God bless you all. God bless. Hallelujah.